Enrich two-factor encrypted authorization and End-2End-Encryption of Data and Code for HIPAA, CCPA, GDPR or any data regulations. BDR controls the Google two-factor authorization app and keys versus the less protective email or SMS two-factor authorization. With BDR you get true end-to-end encryption of data in an RDBMS or data lakes plus encryption of application code to protect the master encryption and two-factor keys. Phishing by hackers is inconsequential. One-day implementation. Spark 3.5 Java and Google technology. We will start out by logging in as the administrator. Just as with all users, the administrator is required to use the two-factor authorization app and code to enter the system. Now we are watching the administrator set up a new user of the BDR middleware end-to-end encryption application. At the end, the administrator clicks Generate Code that the user will need to get their two-factor authorization code and results to enter the BDR app along with their normal user ID and password. After a refresh we see that BDR encrypted the user two-factor code for added authentication protection. Here is a quick look at the BDR Google two-factor authorization interface. Now the new user Stephen enters his user ID and password to enters the end-to-end encryption migration, FHIR, CCPA, GDPR and General Data Regulatory app. When the user selects Sign In, they are prompted to deliver a two-factor verification code from the BDR Google app. Now the user sees the current two-factor code, though this code will change every 30 seconds and every time a new key code is entered. Prior the user entered the administrator delivered key and we suggest this to happen at varied times to deter any types of hacking. The user enters their code and if successful as this one is, the user is now in the BDR app. Here is an example of the user attempting to log into the BDR middleware end-to-end encryption app with the wrong two-factor authorization code and is rejected from entering the application. Now the administrator will log in and as suggested earlier will change a user's key two-factor authorization code for added security and deterrence of hackers. Here we see the encrypted value of the current user's two-factor authorization key. Now the administrator requests a new code by clicking on the generate icon and a new code is generated. We now go to the secure database and refresh the data and see the encrypted value has changed for the user's two-factor authentication key. Here again we quickly see a new two-factor code since it over 30 seconds. Now the user must add the new secret two-factor authentication code in order to get a valid returned code to enter the BDR middleware application. After entering the new key, we see the returned authentication code has changed as we would have expected. Now the user is attempting to enter the BDR application once again and is prompted for the verification code and since the user entered the new master private key the new two-factor code was successfully accepted, and the user is back in the application. Since the user knew it was about 30 seconds, the user waits for the two-factor app to update the verification code then uses the newly generated code and successfully is back into the BDR middleware application. BDR is proud and excited to have added yet another security level to keep hackers out of the core middleware and near eliminating hackers from accessing sensitive data or decryption keys for the BDR middleware end-to-end encryption processes. BDR's end-to-end encryption GUI-initiated technology is your answer. 1. Securely delivers data. 2. Secured with levels of end-to-end encryption protection. 3. Two-factor authentication of user credentials including access by third-party software. 4. On-demand encrypted data downloads with an accompanying decryption module. 5. Fastest data migration in the market. 6. Data regulations, you are protected. BDR/AHP 847-440-4439